Hello and welcome. In this episode, I'm going to be interviewing Blonde in the Belly of the Beast. It's a woman I've been trying to get a hold of for a little while, but she's been a busy young lady because she was at the RNC in Cleveland where she got up to a little bit of mischief and met many of the luminaries of the alt-right. She has some interesting stories she's going to talk about. Being a woman in the alt-right, she has a little bit of a unique perspective, but I'll just let the lady speak for herself. Blonde, hello, how are you? And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am presently living in the fascist hellscape of Seattle. I'm kind of a new conservative. I wouldn't necessarily call myself alt-right. I feel like every time I categorize myself in some way, it pisses off somebody. Like even the term anti-feminist has become this like big no-no word on YouTube. People hate it now. It's really wild. So I don't know. I guess I'm super conservative except for the drugs thing. But I come from the left. I went to University of Missouri. So I was a fully indoctrinated liberal feminist. And that's where I'm coming from. But it just took me a little while of reading Return of Kings actually helped a lot. And eventually I was just like, wow, I can't deny any of this stuff anymore. I'm just living in a lie. And then it changed my life. It's been really great since. But you know, accepting harsh realities of life, that's no fun. So this has all happened in the last 6 or 8 months, that I've become very conservative, especially after a trip to Europe in November. I just saw all these countries that I loved and had been to several times, just descend into these Islamic hellholes. And I was just like, I can't even believe what Paris looked like in November. It saddened me deeply. And then I got into some weird and kind of scary situations with some Syrian refugees in Austria. And I was just like, these countries are never coming back from this. And that's when I realized like I had to do something. I needed to educate myself more. I needed to talk about these things. Because I think female voices are important because feminism is just ubiquitous. Like even women that don't classify as feminists or self-identify as feminists, they are pretty much indoctrinated if they live in the West. So I was like, I think that I have an important voice. I think that women need to be more representative of the right. And so I started doing my YouTube channel, which has not really exploded. I'm at like 6,000 or 7,000 subscribers, but I'm really happy with the progress, and it's been a really fun few months.
All right, so good. How did you find Return of Kings? Because to be honest, Return of Kings is very much male-centric. They don't even allow female contributors to that site. I know several of the authors that write for that site. I'm kind of curious why that, did you go right from being a hipster leftist to Return of Kings, or was there this like progression in there?
Well, I had a Wall Street career in my early 20s, and it was just terrible. Like I was drinking all the time. It was totally ruining my life. And like I could not really put my finger on what specifically was making me so unhappy. But it wasn't until my brother started sending me manosphere articles that I was like, I'm a smart girl. I'm attractive. What I really wanted was to be married and have a bunch of kids by age 25. But that wasn't even like an option. It wasn't even on the table for me because I was smart. So everybody expected me to have like a career in medicine or law or something like that. I went into finance. But I just wish that people had been more honest with me. Like my mom stayed home with us, and I'm like, why did you never lay that out as an option for me when I was in my early 20s? I could have avoided this entire Wall Street career and like all the drinking. Like none of these were necessary experiences in my life. I just wanted to be a good wife and mom. And then I was sick of like the shame that came with admitting that. Like I quit my job spectacularly a few weeks ago, but like several women at that job were in their mid 50s, no kids. And I could just tell they were miserable. And then they would try to talk me out of having kids. I'm like, you guys just want to spread your misery on other people. Older women are terrible to younger women. And I saw it in the career world all the time. And I was just like, this entire world of women should not exist. All these women should just have kids and stay at home. Like they're bad at their jobs, or they're mediocre at their jobs and mediocre moms, but like they're never great at both. But that really pisses people off, like voicing that at all.
Oh yeah, in Seattle, you can actually understand they've passed a new ordinance that women who say what you just did are allowed to be publicly crucified. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Yeah, really. I have to go into the square. They're going to put me in the gallows.
Don't worry, I'll put up a sponge to your mouth to let you drink.
Wonderful.
I'm teasing. I won't let that happen.
I'm the kind of person that should be having tons of kids. Yet I'm 28 now. I have a boyfriend. I'll get a few in there, but like I'm probably going to have 3 kids, but really I could have had 5. And instead people with like 85 IQs that are on welfare are having 5 kids. Yet I was discouraged from early childbearing by society. This blows my fucking mind. Oh, am I allowed to say that?
Yes, it's R-rated.
Okay. Good.
Oh no, you're a good girl. You like to talk dirty. So no, that's true what you say. This wasn't something that's just unique to you. This is all women of your generation were taught that, and lesser extent to mine. I'm a Gen X, or you're a millennial. But even many of the women of Gen X, this kind of thing was happening to. But
well, it's not ruined a generation of women, and I cannot tell you how many like women in their late 30s that are unhappy. I just see them just all the time because what they really wanted was to have a family too, but they just didn't make it a priority because everybody told them it wasn't important and it shouldn't, that they shouldn't need it to feel complete. But that's a totally fine thing to need a family to feel complete. That's what everybody wants.
well, yeah, my theory on women is so much of your biology has evolved solely for the purpose of impregnation, gestation, nursing, and nurturing. Both,
Yeah.
I mean, that's all the hardware going on inside there. Let's be real, and also even the female psychology is been evolutionary programmed mainly for that purpose. And then
Oh, and that was the hardest red pill stuff to swallow. That women are inherently not nationalistic. They aren't tribalistic. Like, that cut me deep because I've always, even when I was pretty liberal, I considered myself like a real patriot. But I think that there's truth to that, we're evolved to want to not be socially alienated. Like, it's very important to us. I've read some studies where like social alienation has the same kind of psychological effect on millennial women as like suicide of a friend. Like, it's really damaging. Women really want to be in the fold. And so, if a tribe comes and takes over your tribe, you best adapt with the new society. So that was a really hard pill for me to swallow, but I finally got through that one. I'm not so offended by it anymore.
yeah, so if the Huns invade Seattle, you better start banging Attila because
No.
you'll be one of the brave ones out there with us fighting the barbarians at the gate.
No, fuck that.
You're not. Yeah, you'll do like a Boudica did and just fall on her own sword.
That doesn't sound so bad.
And well, yeah, I mean, I admire that. She's Celtic, so am I. Okay, so can we talk a little about the RNC and your adventures down there?
Sure.
So
It was actually.
you got
go
to
ahead.
meet my buddy Matt Forney. What was that like?
Well, I've read his blogs, and I've always thought that he was really funny. I even liked his article on the chicks with the eating disorders. I don't know, but everybody was like, these guys are such misogynistic pigs. But I was like, this is clearly satire, right?
Yes.
Like, do you really believe that these guys mean this shit? Like, they're going to be talking about raping women? Like, come on. I just always understood that it was satire.
Well, we do that on the first Tuesday of each month. But other than that, no, it's all satire.
Yeah, really. So I always liked these guys. They were the first people that introduced me to the manosphere. And like, even though Roosh is like, I'd never date him, but I still can respect what he says and listen to him. He can teach me about men. So I met him at the RNC, and that was really cool at Milo's party. So I talked to him for a little bit, and he didn't spit any game on me, so that was cool.
Yeah, you probably had your guard up. You had your quote unquote bitch shield up. Yeah.
Nah, I mean, I know what he's about. He tells you who he is. I mean, it'd be stupid for people not to listen.
Right. Yeah.
Not that he's a bad dude, and I don't even think that he's really a PUA anymore. Like, he's just lately kind of been giving me this like forlorn vibe. I don't know. I was talking to Matt Forney about this the other day, but like in his writings and stuff, I'm like, does Roosh seem like really sad to anybody else? My brother agrees. I wonder if he if he just wanted a traditional life and he kind of feels like all of his womanizing has not really done what he thought it would for his, not necessarily ego, but like for his quality of life.
Well, he's actually in the process of reinventing his brand. So I don't want to give too much away, but that's more like what's going on there.
Well, I think that fundamentally he's a traditionalist, and that's probably why I've always liked Roosh, because I think that there needs to be social pressure on women to reform their behavior. Otherwise, nothing is going to change. This is how we get feminism out. we move people back to the traditional family unit. And I think that fundamentally that's who he is. He's a traditionalist, but he just adopted the pickup artist culture because he needed to exploit his understanding of women, you know, what they don't understand about themselves to get laid. And you can't blame a dude for that. I mean, every dude does that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not married and I'm sexually active, so I mean, plus if women want it, I just look at it as, you know, giving them what they want.
Yeah, women have to be the gatekeepers of sex.
Yeah, and you know,
Not
they still, and I mean, they still are. You know, it's women will always be the gatekeepers of sex. It's just that their actions don't line up with what they say.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
So
I don't know.
go
I
ahead.
don't think that people are having as much sex as everybody thinks they are, though.
I hope not. If this, especially the way some of these people look, these liberal people,
Yeah.
they're kind of frightening. Oh, by the way, just a shout out to your video on the summer solstice parade. That was pretty funny.
The gay pride parade footage?
Yeah, that's the thing they do. That was in Seattle, right? At the summer solstice.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do that every year here in Seattle. You haven't lived here very long, right?
No.
Yeah, all the ugly
2 years.
people every at the summer solstice, they always have the ugliest people. They dress up in body paint here in Seattle, ride their bicycles, and you film some of that. And
Oh, I was filming at the gay pride parade. I didn't go to the summer solstice parade. That's in Ballard, right?
yeah, oh, you were at the gay pride. Okay, that was a unique thing. I thought you were at the summer solstice thing. They look the same.
I
Uh,
know, right? They're just all like gross, lesbianic, like stout women covered in tattoos.
yeah, and the idea of
The
them
urge.
having sex is kind of scary.
Yeah, I
Um,
know. I'm like banging these people for real. Who?
Well, actually, I think they did studies that actually say that conservative people do have more sex than liberals, but that's probably just because they're married. I don't really know. I mean, I know there's a lot
Oh,
of
it's they're looking.
well, there's a lot of yeah, they have more options if you're good looking. You have more options in the sexual marketplace.
Yeah.
Especially true for men. I mean, ugly women can, you know, with some exceptions, extreme ugly women, but ugly
Isn't that
women can,
crazy though? I see that couple in Seattle all the time where it's like some fucking butch, ugly, fat chick, and she's with like a dreamy dude that's tall and like handsome, walking downtrodden 3 feet behind her, looking at the ground. I've seen this couple like 1,000 times in Seattle. I'm like, how do these fat bitches keep getting these dudes? They're so beta. So beta.
well, also it's demographics. There's so many more women than men in Seattle.
It's a bummer. I mean, for dudes. It's been awesome for me.
Yeah, it's great for you. It's funny. There's a lot of I've lived in Seattle now. I'm originally from New York City, so it was really rough for me. Not really rough, because I moved here in my 20s, so I was still had high sexual market value. But just the difference, like when I lived in New York in my early 20s, I moved out here when I was 24. I'd be at a bar with my friends, and I never really needed any game. Basically, women would just come up to us and start talking. That's how you met women. And then when I actually moved to Seattle, I actually had to work for it. I was like, whoa, what's this about? And they weren't nearly as cute. And that's just
Nope.
that's just a demographic thing. You know, if you're in New York or LA, or actually Chicago's my favorite town to meet women in, just because the ratio is so good there. But yeah, it's Seattle just because of there's so many tech jobs here. There's a disproportionality of men who move here in tech fields, which are dominated by men. So it's a great place for ugly women to come to meet halfway decent guys who make good money, but most of them are going to be Indian or Asian.
Yeah, that's true, and it's a lot of beta guys. But I moved from New York too, and it was just a nightmare dating scene, as you can imagine. There are 500,000 more women than men on the island. I'd always see like some like tiny Jewish bald fat man with like an Amazonian looking model. Like what the hell? And they're all sluts too. It's like, why should I even bother trying to compete here? What a nightmare. I had to move like basically for that reason and my terrible job.
Blonde had to move because she couldn't get laid by a good-looking guy in New York. Okay, I can edit that out.
No, no, I don't want to get laid.
I know what you mean.
I never do that. For like somebody that's traditional that's looking for a husband, it is like you go there for your ovaries to die. I was like 22. I'm like, I got to get out of here, man. I am too old for this shit.
Yeah, just that partying nightlife of the hooking up culture, that whole.
Well, it's a feeling that damages people.
Yeah, I think
That was my
women, it damages their soul. I mean, there's studies on this about how female promiscuity leads to all sorts of mental disorders in women. That doesn't necessarily do the same thing for men unless it gets into extreme numbers.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I think that having like 100 sexual partners for either sex is going to give you so much variety that there's basically nothing you can do to pair bond or do to be able to ignore the variety you've had to stay with one person for the rest of your life. I think that goes for both genders. Like, I think Rouge V is going to have a real problem having sex with one woman for the rest of his life. He's probably had thousands of sexual partners. I mean,
Yeah,
at least
I think
a
it's
thousand.
I think it's fair to say I'm probably ruined for that too. I could never see myself getting
Yeah, but if
married.
you don't want to get married, which why would men? Someone's just going to divorce rape you and then, not be feminine. She's going to get fat and divorce rape you. Why bother getting married? And so you can just bang, if you get rich enough, you can bang chicks well into your 40s without being creepy. You got to be real rich to be in your 50s or 60s, I think. But yeah, why would you get married? You can protect your assets and still have sex with a lot of women.
Yeah, well, even guys who are older, I mean, if they stay in good shape. I mean, I was looking at like Viggo Mortensen. That guy's like well into his 50s, and you still got chicks lining up to bang him.
That's true.
So
And Hugh Hefner, if you're rich enough, you can.
Oh
be a
yeah,
corpse.
but that guy's gross. I mean, they're just purely there for the paycheck, and the whole concept of that turns me off.
But I'm gonna get into that even in your late 40s, even in your mid 40s, I'd say.
Well, I'm in my mid 40s.
You don't want to get married though; it doesn't matter.
No, I don't. I definitely don't want to get married. I mean, and that's. I think that's probably more. A lot of that is my own psychology. I just don't want that. Just probably because. I very much had alt-right beliefs, long before there was an alt-right or even an internet. I mean, I was kind of alt-right back in, high school per se. I mean, I was kind of like, was tuned into this because I was raised by a single mother. So I saw how that, directly affected me and, the negative implications of that. And I also have a theory that all this single motherhood, why it's so destructive, and one of the reasons why you have, marriage rates declining and things of that nature, or just divorce rates so high, is I believe that when you're raised by a single parent, you don't, when you're a young child, you don't see the male and females, an adult male and adult female interacting in a natural way all the time, as children would normally see in a healthy marriage. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So I believe if you never experienced that growing up, then you're kind of at this disadvantage. So the idea of marriage to you is like, what? How would that work? You know what I mean?
Yeah, even if you have parents that fight all the time, they at least teach you some ways how to be together. It's the absentee parenting that makes it really hard. Like, I don't even know where I would start in relationships if I didn't have both parents.
Yes. So you don't have any concept of, how does if you're a man growing up, especially a man being raised by a woman also, is they have no concept of what masculinity is, or, healthy masculinity. They don't.
You sound masculine. Did you have a male role model also?
No, I just, I grew up in the Bronx. I guess, just.
Someone toughened you up.
I'm sorry?
Someone toughened you up.
Oh, well, yeah, I got into my fair share of fights and such, but I made efforts to, let's say, embrace my maleness. I studied martial arts. I shoot competitively, things of that nature. So
the Bronx was your daddy?
The Bronx was my daddy. Yeah. Not in a gay way, but yeah. I mean, I went to like kind of an elite high school that was in the Bronx. I didn't go to a ghetto school, but the neighborhood I lived in was, really bad. At one time it was a Irish working class neighborhood, and then it was totally invaded by Dominicans and, every other immigrant group you could imagine. There was a lot of racial violence where you had the Irish kids basically, I heard my first gunshot at 14, and it wasn't in a gun range. Jesus. So yeah, it was all sorts of, I got jumped. The first time I was ever jumped, I was in 7th grade by a bunch of Dominicans. Yeah. So also I won't get into, this is about you, not me. So anyway, Blonde. So the RNC, I want to know a little bit more about it. What kind of impression did it give you, like being there on the ground, rubbing elbows with other people who are like-minded than you? How does that make you feel? Like, are you energized by it, or did it change your views, reinforce your views, or keep them the same? Come on, let us know.
Well, the first few days I was really patriotic because I got to see Geert Wilder speak and Pamela Geller, Milo Yiannopoulos. And then I met Matt Fournier and Roosh, and I was like meeting all these people that, I've read about and read all their work, and I got to meet them, and that was like super incredible. And so I was feeling really patriotic. But then once I started getting into the protests and like in with the social justice warriors, I immediately like fell into a pit of despair. And I'm like, oh my God, there is no hope for our country. Because these people are just relentless. Like I don't know if you watched the footage, any footage we posted from the RNC, but there was this guy who runs an organization called Hate Has Consequences, formerly funded by a New York City elite Marxist school that was publicly funded. So he was basically being funded by taxpayer money to go to these conventions. And he was just accusing me of being a Nazi and a white supremacist because I did a 5-minute interview the previous day with Red Ice Radio. And they're quote, pro-European. I've never heard them say anything like Nazis. So he was following us and hovering over us for days, telling us he's going to ruin our lives, ruin our livelihoods, get into our personal lives, dox us, swat us, all this shit. So we had to deal with all that crap. And I'm just like, these people are on a witch hunt and there's no stopping them. Like, it doesn't even matter to him that I've never said anything like that before in my life. I don't even think I've talked about like the Jews seriously in any of my videos or anything like that. And they're going to say that I'm a Nazi and that's my new reputation. This is fucking bullshit. I'm sick of it. So every time I encountered one of those people, I was just like, I just seriously no hope.
Well, you know that you never engage these people because they just, yell at you racist and Nazi. I mean, that's some of their argument.
It's unbelievable. Like, but that's like quite the assertion to make. Also, I don't give a shit. This is what hurts these people's feelings the most. Call me a Nazi all you want. Everything has been said to me. I live on the internet. Like, there is nothing, no stone left unturned. It's all been said to me. I'm like, calling me a racist means nothing to me.
So you weren't triggered and had to go to your safe space?
I know, right? God.
Well, you're so brave. I mean, how you deal with this patriarchal oppression. It's unbelievable. I don't know what to say. I'm actually tearing up right now.
God. And they're such pansies too. It's all chicks. That's why.
Yeah, it's chicks and what we call low T men. Which
yeah.
You see these guys and you're wondering like, dude, seriously, do you still have your fucking junk? I mean.
Oh, I know. I've been editing this video today, which is why my hard drive is full. But it was this feminist that like got urged by this cuck to get into this conversation about female voting patterns, which irrefutably they vote left. Okay, there's no denying that. And then she couldn't handle the heat. She like kept like saying like the same argument over and over. So she bursts into tears and goes over and has to have her cuck boyfriend to comfort her. And so then I go up to her. I'm like, can you tell me why you're crying? And she's like, go away. After she entered into a conversation with people she knew that would disagree with her at our convention. And then she goes and cries and has to have her cuck boyfriend reassure. It was like these beta men, these low T men. I'm just like, can you guys look at yourselves in this video that I just took of you to see what a pussy you are? You have no self-respect, no self-respect. It's gotten both genders. That's why I'm really worried.
Yes. I can't wait for you to put that video up. I might hold this interview until that's up so our listeners can check it out. You'll have to let me know when that one goes up. Because that one I didn't see. Sure. I watched the periscopes of Cernovich, Forney, and I can't remember the one other guy. Actually, by the way, Forney's actually on the ground right now as we speak, covering.
Really?
Yeah, covering Philly. And I hope he's dressed in a Bernie Sanders costume because if not, they're going to string his ass up.
That guy's fearless. He doesn't give a fuck, for real. I was asking him questions about how he deals with like all the hate that he gets because he's almost as hated as Rushby, and he's like, I don't care. And he really does not care. Just bounces off right off him, deflects. It's remarkable.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Well, I've known Matt through the internet for a while. I actually can't say a lot, but he's actually had reason to legitimately fear for his life, and that's kind of how we became friends. Because I gave him I used to work as a private investigator and security consultant, so I gave him some advice on how to deal with that kind of stuff. But you're right. He has this no fucks given kind of attitude, which I really respect, and his writing is also fearless too. And it's funny, when I actually got to know him, I had no idea he was as young as he was because I'd been reading his writing for years.
How old is he?
He just turned 28.
Oh my God, he's my age?
Yeah.
Wow, I thought he was much older than I was.
No, he's
Huh.
been doing this since I think he started like a senior year in college.
What a shitlord. That's hilarious. Good for him.
Yeah, and so he's a millennial with balls. Who would have thought it? Um, but
So I
any
have a question for you.
good.
How serious should we take online threats? Because somebody threatens to kill me like all the time, but I'm usually only worried when it's a Muslim. Is this the appropriate approach to take to online threats? There was an article in Return of Kings about this, but I didn't feel like it was very informative.
I can speak to you that about offline about how seriously you should take them.
Okay.
The basic the in the simplest terms, you don't take them seriously unless they start to escalate.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I mean, I can get
So
into
like
more
a
detailed offline.
I never person again, I can pretty much stop worrying about it.
Yes, unless there's other cofactors going on.
That's a good rule of thumb. Thank you.
Okay. But if you got anything really specific, I can address, especially because you're local, I can tell you whether or not you should be worried.
Okay.
But generally speaking, no, it's people, it's just keyboard warriors.
Good.
But that doesn't mean to be reckless with yourself because you are a woman. So,
Yeah, but I don't know. My boyfriend has a pile of guns, so I'm not like too worried about it. And I make him carry now all the time too after this started. But still, no, I'm like, I couldn't believe that Washington was an open carry state when I moved here. I was like, oh my God, for real? It's like people are so cucked here, they don't even realize that.
well, it's not quite that simple because within the Seattle limits, there's all sorts of restrictions on where you can bring the guns. So,
Oh, really?
yeah.
I didn't know that.
You can't bring your gun into a bar and things like that, or any place that actually serves the alcohol. So there's all sorts of restrictions like that, or any sort of federal building. Or it's funny when I was getting my concealed carry permit renewed, I actually had to check my gun like before I could even go in there to renew my license, even though I had the valid license. It's kind of funny.
They just want to strangle us in red tape bureaucracy.
And they also passed an ordinance, but it's in conflict with the state law that says you're not allowed to carry at a public park. Well, actually, all parks are public, but you're not allowed to, like if you were walking around Green Lake, that's a beautiful lake in Seattle, the northern part, where it's a great place to go in the summer. In theory, you're not allowed to carry there. But I don't think it's been tested in the courts yet because it's in contradiction with state law.
Why do we live here?
For the weather, Blonde. That's
You
an
know,
inside
it's true.
joke.
I
That's
came
an
back
inside
from
joke.
Cleveland and I was like, Seattle's totally worth all these libtards for this weather because Cleveland was just like uninhabitable. I had to go behind this bridge and puke after I met Milo Yiannopoulos because it was so hot.
Oh, the
Like,
heat,
I hate
the heat? Yeah. Well, you were in the middle of a heat wave there.
It was a fucking nightmare. Terrible. Cleveland's a shitty town too.
Yeah, well, Cleveland
Gross.
is well, sad thing about there was one time in American history where Cleveland was a beautiful blue collar working class place. Now it's a total shithole.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's what happens after generations of Democrats being in charge.
Yeah, totally.
Could you talk about what are your plans for? I mean, obviously, you said you want to get married and have kids, but what are your more immediate plans, like in the alt-right or whatever you want to call it? I'm just using that phrase alt-right because what the hell else we're going to call it?
Yeah.
You want to expand your channel, obviously, which is Blind in the Belly of the Beast. The link will be in the description. Could you just talk about, like, is there specific topics in there you really want to get into, like feminism? Do you want to maybe just focus on? I'm just throwing stuff out here, like the scene in Seattle, like the how paused it is. Are you going to be more global? Going to concentrate more on politics, or just go with it?
So I only have enough energy to work on because I hate being videotaped. And before my channel, I had actually never seen myself on film before, like ever.
Okay.
I don't know. I hate the sound of my own voice. I get really nervous. If I speak in public, sometimes I like break out into hives. I'm just not good at it. So I only can do this when like I'm just so pissed that I feel like I'm going to be in a murderous rage unless I get it out of me. So the topics really vary, like hugely vary. But the things that piss me off the most are Islam, feminism, the regressive left. I hate, political correctness, cultural Marxism. But feminism, really understanding like what I had been indoctrinated with and how I had been lied to was probably, a primary catalyst for this, I'd say. But Islam lately has been the topic.
Well, one thing I want to talk about with you, because you're the only woman I've interviewed that is planning on having children. how will you deal with this political zeitgeist, and I hate that fucking word, but when it comes, when your children are exposed to it, I mean, I'm assuming you're not going to send your children to government schools. Um, I mean,
I've been talking a lot with my boyfriend about this because he's a Marine, so he's like even more conservative than I am. And we don't really want our kids to get indoctrinated. But homeschooling, I feel like, makes kids turn out weird unless they're exposed to lots of social environments.
mhm.
So I would like them to go to public school. But my brother lives in Colorado Springs, and they have a classical academy there. It's a charter school. It has like a 7-year wait list, but it's apparently, they learn Greek, things like that. So I would really like something like that, for my kid if it's possible. But I think I'm going to have to relocate in 2 years when I have a kid.
Okay. Are you engaged yet? Tell them to get by the ring.
Oh, we've been dating for 7 months. This is, it's got to be in not crazy, breakneck speed.
Okay.
So we're going to wait.
Oh, he's a Marine.
But
Cool. Semper Fi.
Yeah, when I moved to Seattle, I was single, and I was like totally getting accustomed to the idea that I was going to have to marry some panko fruitcake. But then I saw this TED talk of this like fat Jewish girl that was destined to remain single forever. She reverse engineered her JDate profile and then built this like crazy algorithm and scoring test to put her dates through, and it worked. She found somebody that was ideologically aligned with her. And so I tried to emulate it to the best of my ability, the best of my mathematical ability. And I did that on Match.com, and then that's how I met my boyfriend.
Oh, okay.
So I was serious about this. I'm like, all right, I started when I was 27 because I had to leave Los Angeles. That place is a hellhole. New York was also, I couldn't live there. I wasn't going to find a man. And so I knew I had to get serious. I'm like, all right, I'm 26, 27. I need to have a kid by the time I'm 30. Like, let's do this. I just got really serious.
Look, man, my eggs are about to expire here. Come on, let's get busy.
I know. I mean, seriously, if you're 28, you have to have all of your kids by the time you're 35 if you don't want to have a geriatric pregnancy, which is what they call it. So I just knew that I had to get serious. And that's the biggest lie that's being told to women these days, that they can have a baby when they're 40 and that, like, it's fine.
It's interesting that you said that because I was just thinking of something. There was a book that came out several years ago by a gynecologist that raised the point of the risks. Well, it wasn't so much the risk, but she talked about how female fertility starts to decline at the age of 27. And
Yeah.
and she wasn't writing it as a political statement of any kind. It was just her own research dealing with this because she helped couples with fertility and whatnot like that. And there was this huge backlash against this poor doctor because all she was just stating was the evidence. But they're like, no, that goes against the political narrative, and this whole thing. And they attacked this woman. And she,
the same people that like won't look into any kind of race and IQ statistics. It's like statistics can be inherently racist or prejudicial. That idea is so fucking stupid. I don't even know where to start. But it is true that fertility starts to decline around 27, 28. It actually starts at 24 as kind of a slow decline, and then it just falls right off a cliff at 35. Off a cliff. So, like, you're pretty good until you're 35, but, like, you better not plan on having your first kid after the age of 35. Like, you probably are going to have some problems. And no one thinks that. Like, I still know, like, I see women, or when I was dating, I would check out chicks' profiles, and sometimes it'd be like, age 33, we'll have kids someday. Like, what day, bitch? Like, when? You're 33, you're still dating, and you don't know if you want to have kids. Like, just by these 3 things I know about you, I would rule you out if I were any man.
right. Yeah, that's pretty someday. Unless that's tomorrow, bitch, you're in trouble.
Yeah, for real. But then again, like, all of these things about the wall, like, it's all true. But then I see women with these quality men that are just so much better than them, single moms and all sorts of shit. And I'm like, maybe there are no repercussions for women. Maybe there really are no repercussions for women. They can just get whoever they want, whenever they want, no matter what they do. Is that what's going on here?
Are you speaking about Seattle specifically?
I don't know. It's probably worse in Seattle than anywhere else.
No, I think there are repercussions for women. It's just that they might not be immediately apparent. Like, you have to think about it. You're seeing these, this couple walk down the street, and you're just getting that little snapshot. You don't really know what life is really like for them.
That's true. Yeah.
So you can get kind of a skewed reality. After you've lived here for a while and you know other people, you'll see that for the most part these are highly dysfunctional relationships just because they go against nature. So it's you can only go against reality for so long before you start to get impacted by it. You can deny gravity exists, but you jump off a tall building, sooner or later you're hitting the ground.
No, that's definitely true. Yeah, I agree. And like we can see from like the MGTOW study that like men that are older and they're single, they do much better than women that are older than single. Men can like retreat into their hobbies and their male friends and video games, things like that. But women just don't really have that capacity. They like have to have children to live complete lives.
Yeah, and I'm in my 40s now. I mean, I tend to like younger women, as well all men do, but I've dated women my own age, and basically, they're, to be honest, I don't have a lot of time for it because they're all damaged goods. Like they're divorced, and I was on a date recently with a girl, and who interestingly enough, I'd met her several years ago at a bar, and I just got her number and stuff and called her. We just had one date. Turns out she was actually in the middle of a divorce. She was getting it wasn't legal yet. They were still in the midst of
Run.
it. And yeah, so that didn't go. I said no, I'm not doing that. And anyway, she kind of hit me up on Facebook recently again, and in her female way, kind of asked me out. So I said okay. So I went up there and she made me dinner, and I'll give her credit. She went the whole 9 yards. She asked me what I want, and I told her how I wanted the steak cooked, and she had all the hors d'oeuvres out, and she had her place immaculate, the whole bit. But the date was a nightmare because all she did was tell me about all the basically the horror of her life, and what it had been like, and how horrible dating. I don't want to hear that shit on a date. So
no, you gotta be pleasant. That's the other half. Cook and everything, that's fine, but if you're gonna be a pill, then why bother?
Oh yeah, it was the worst thing. It was awful because I had a couple of drinks and she lived like about 25 minutes north of Seattle, and it was all highway driving. And I had a couple of drinks and I was like, I have to stay here because I can't just leave right away. Plus that would be really rude too, right? Just eat and then just. So I was just staying there. I'm just gauging myself. Am I sober enough to get on the road yet so I can get the hell out of here?
Oh man.
So
God, I'm not dating anymore. It sounds so awful. It was awful.
Yeah, well,
Jeez.
I mean, in fairness, I think I was home by like 11, and I actually went out with some friends, but afterwards. But yeah, it was a total disaster as far as dating goes. And you're right. Aging is not kind to anybody, but it's especially hard on women. And God help them if they have a kid.
I feel like if you diversify, you have a family. You never get fat. Like you get Botox, you do what you have to do. You can make it less bad. And if you have other hobbies and you haven't built your life on your looks or really sledded it up big time, you can really ease the blow. Getting old is hard no matter what. And that's another thing that pisses me off about the manosphere is that these dudes act like they're never going to die because women age worse. I'm like, the wall, it exists for men too. At some point, no matter how rich you are, nobody's going to want to fuck you.
Yes, absolutely true. I mean, I think some guys just do that because they're just trying to validate themselves or their own appearance or something like that. There's always going to be people who are gravitating to things like that. It's just that it's just the main difference between the men and women is the whole children thing. And as you said, women or the overwhelming majority of women, there are always outliers, but the overwhelming majority of women need to have children to feel complete. And I really don't believe that's true of men.
It's not true of men, just because of biological differences. But then we have this whole generation of women who are only going to be happy and fulfilled through having children, being told that very thing makes them weak, and that they need to be more like men. I mean, this whole social experiment is just a friggin' disaster. It's just a disaster. And then men have been emasculated like millennial men. The tales of my beta dating experiences are never ending. You would not believe some of the stories I have from earlier this year.
Pick one.
Unbelievable.
Show us with just one.
Oh man. Okay.
I went out. Create a composite if you want.
No, this is my favorite one because it has two stories in one. But I went out with this guy who was really conservative, and he wasn't from Seattle. He, was from Houston or something. And I kind of liked him. He had a bit of an effeminate voice or whatever. But if that's all I have to deal with, then I can probably get on board. And then in the middle of our second date, he was like, So I used to be a 2-time national gold medal winning ice dancer. Dancer, not skater, dancer.
Red flag,
Dancer.
red flag. Go ahead, keep going.
Yeah. And then he was dropping me off at home and he's like, can I walk you to your door? And I'm like, all right, whatever, dude. I'm never going to go out with you again because of the ice dancing, but that's fine. And he couldn't parallel park his car, and so I had to do it. And then this guy, like, he didn't seem ashamed or anything like that. He just thought I was going to go out with him again. And then a few months later, he texted me and he's like, I know you never answered me again, but I've been thinking about you since our last date. And I kind of wanted to move closer to Seattle and see if this would work. This is a guy that I have no relationship with, went on 1.5 dates with, never talked to again, is telling me he's going to relocate near me to try out our relationship.
Yeah, this guy's sounds like he's beyond saving.
But I met dudes like this constantly, like dudes that would try to kiss me and then be like, can I kiss you? I know it's your body. I'm like, oh my God, make a move or not. Like, it's this spineless generation of dudes. Who's going to wrangle the women? Who's going to stop this feminism? These dudes have no will. No will.
Oh, that's scary. I can't believe that beta. I really don't have any. I don't have any young friends that are left wing. I mean, I obviously have some left wing friends just because living in the city, you can't avoid it.
Yeah, yeah.
But they're not.
But I never meet exers like this.
Say that again?
I never meet exers like this. It's a millennial thing, this pussification of a generation. Like, it's almost all dudes under 35.
So tell us another story, because that was pretty bad. So was there another guy? Like, how were you meeting these guys? Were you going out to bars? I mean, you're cute. I seen your picture. I haven't met you in real life yet, but I seen your picture. You're a good looking babe. What is it like when you're at a bar? Do you even, before you got?
No, I actually don't drink. I'm a marijuana user exclusively.
Okay.
So I quit drinking after my Wall Street experience because I was like, wow, this is making me fat and ruining my life.
But did you still like go to bars and I mean, or was it purely like an online thing? Or
I was meeting these guys through my algorithm, but that they were just like making the cut because of their totally, weird political association based upon who they were. Like, I'm like, you're conservative, but nothing else that you do or who you are aligns with that. So they were kind of outliers.
okay.
It was just crazy. Like, I just couldn't believe some of the behavior. Like, paying for the check is a tough thing in this generation. I will give guys that. And I don't expect men to pick up the tab. If women want to be like men, then they're going to accept equality, across the board. But I do always offer to pay for half. I think that's a good way to deal with it. And then one time I went out with this guy, first date, he had asked me out. I don't even know. He might have asked me out in the street. And then he was like, can you just get all of it?
Oh, wow.
Like,
oh, balls.
My
damn.
God.
I know you didn't
I
like
paid
it.
for it. I did. I mean, and then he tried to go out with me again. And I was like, what? No, that's insane. Ugh, God.
Well, in
But
fairness,
stuff like
I do that sometimes just to get free meals. I'm teasing you.
That's bullshit. Although women do, there's some soft prostitution in the dating world for sure.
Oh yeah, there's dinner whores. I mean, the way I date is I just meet a girl for coffee, and then it's either on or it's not. And then
that's the best way I discovered. That's what my boyfriend and I did. And then on our second date, we went and shotguns and got dim sum and made out in his car. It was awesome.
There you go. Don't turn to X-rated. I don't need to know what happened after that. Yeah, so let's just keep it R, not X, okay? What would you? I know you have to go because we're a little bit past the mark here. Could you just kind of sum up? What are your more immediate plans this summer for your channel? Are you going to be doing any more traveling? Are you going to be politically active between now and the election?
Yeah. I mean, so my podcast co-host Skag3 and we crowdfunded our trip to Cleveland. So basically it's whatever our subs put us up to and whatever they'll help us fund. So we really wanted to go to the DNC, but I think that ship has sailed. So whatever comes up next, we're probably going to end up going to some Trump rallies. But this election, it's just totally wild. I can't even say where I'm going to end up because I'm just going to go to where the action is, and nothing's really written yet. But for the channel, I make videos 2 to 3 times a week, and this week I'm releasing new footage of the RNC every week or every day of the week. I'm Blonde in the Belly of the Beast on YouTube, and I am Libtard America on Twitter. So you can DM me, you can reach me, you can email me, blondeinthebellyofthebeast@gmail.com if you need to get a hold of me. But otherwise, look forward to the RNC footage. It's cucktastic, some great memes in there.
All right, excellent. And all the links to those contacts you gave will be in the description. Anyway, Blonde, it was a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, and I look forward to meeting you in real life sometime soon.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah,
You're
maybe
just
we
a
can
neighbor.
go shooting.
Yeah, that's fun.
Anyway, I've been talking with Blonde in the Belly of the Beast. Links to her contact information will be in the description below. To everyone listening, thank you. Take care, and remember to like, comment, and subscribe.